Hello everybody, Simon Fenwick, Executive Vice President of Global Talent and Diversity. I'm here in Cannes 2017 with the Gold Lions, Young Lions winners, Rob and Will. Welcome guys.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Congratulations for a great achievement, beating out I think over 200 entries or 200 teams. So you're from the international team based in London. So tell me a little bit about what made you want to enter into the Young Lions this year and about the process.
I think I'll let Rob handle this because he's got a lot more experience. I think you've entered, what, six times? Is that right?
Entered 6 times.
I'll hand it over to you.
I think for me, I've entered 6 every year. I've been in the job. I first entered when I was only 6 months in. And I think for me, it's always been a real opportunity to do something a bit different. I think, often, when you're working on real work, you kind of have to work in the limitations of what the client wants, what you can do. Cannes and the Young Lions competition is entertaining and fun as an activity because you can do almost anything you want. And you can really push the limits. And, I think it's the same for Will. It really has defined my career to this point. Having success over the years, demonstrating to the people, who are important, that you can think a bit differently, that you're keen to do it. I think just entering, showing an enthusiasm to be part of it is half of the win. Half the win. And I always had a dream to be in strategy. I knew it. I did an internship. Everyone told me I would never get there. For years and years, I have to grind my way through it. And for me, it's been the passport to doing what I want to do.
Great. Well, for somebody who's been working for over 30 years, 6 years isn't too bad, so you've got a lot more grind to come ahead. So that brings me to my next point. You've both been with the company for 6 years, so tell us a little bit about your journey of how you got here, where you came from. I think, you've both got really interesting start-out careers, so tell us a little bit about that and, what brought you to Media Brands.
Sure. So I started 6 years ago at Sydney, and 2 years ago transferred to London. Before that, I did an internship at a small strategy agency. And before that, I was a sailing instructor. So being here is kind of funny because I see the guys pushing the boats up and down the beach, and I was like, wow, that used to be my gig.
I bet you'd rather be doing that some days.
Well, when you're sitting up here with you, it's not, I'd rather watch them do it at the moment.
That's true.
Take the boat out myself, but we'll see if I can make that happen.
That's true.
So yeah, my journey to this seat right here has been obviously totally different to Rob's, but not actually a million miles away. So I've, as you said, been with Media Brands for 6 years. I've worked my way through pretty much every department in the international team. So I started on account management on Microsoft and Xbox about 6 years ago, and then creative solutions for both and Initiative, and now sit in the strategy team with Rob and work across a whole raft of different clients. Absolutely loved it. I'm so pleased to be here, and I think it's just been every different role that I've undertaken in the last 6 years has given me another string to my bow, which I hope, and it feels like it's been validated, comes across in the work that we've produced and the stuff that we presented yesterday.
Yeah, great.
That's what I think.
So on that, let's talk a little bit about your win and about the entry that you put in. So obviously it was around Amnesty International, but tell me a little bit about what went into the process, what you came up with, and and what you ultimately presented.
Sure. So I think Will and I have an approach to this competition, which is, I think you've got 2 ways of winning. The first is do the idea they kind of want, but do it the best. Mm-hmm. Or tell them something they maybe didn't know and come up with an idea which is slightly more left field and really challenges what they need.
Yep.
And I think our approach has always been, if we're going to try and be the best of everybody, we're probably not going to win. And we go 1 or 2 degrees away from the obvious. And that's sort of our strategy to winning. It's worked so far. Well, thankfully.
Yeah.
There's some merit in it.
Clearly
after
it
this
did.
Time. Yeah, so I think, where we start really is we almost, we take the brief, but we don't labor it. I think a lot of times you can spend a lot of time with the brief, and get really stuck in what they've written down. But I think where we really sit in the room and listen to what they say and try to respond based on what they say in the room rather than what's written on the page. And honestly, we didn't even use the brief when we went to write the slides. We left it in the hotel because we kind of get to a thought and we land it hard.
Do you think that authenticity sort of helped you when you were presenting? The fact that you were prepared, but it was sort of off the cuff and from your heart?
Yeah, I mean, Will's probably the better presenter of the two of us, but we go in there and we try and tell.
You're doing pretty well now.
Well, we try and tell them what we think will change their business or actually deliver on the brief, and because we believe it, I think they believe it as well.
So let's talk about the actual brief and talk about what you actually presented.
Yeah, sure. So, as you said, the brief is for Amnesty International. I think we were quite lucky that it was a UK brief. So what they asked us was, as everybody knows, Amnesty is about writing letters of support for political prisoners. That's what they've done for 20 years. And the brief was, how do you get young people to write letters? How do we get 200,000 letters written by young people? And I think, as Rob said, we like to go a little bit left field, and so the first thing we said was that young people simply don't write letters. They don't do it.
And if you're going to ask people to write 200,000 letters, they're telling you a tall tale was kind of our introduction, and that kind of destabilized, hopefully, their thinking and the other entries that had been.
Okay, interesting.
And then what we did with that thought was to say, okay, so what do young people do every day, every second of their lives? Is they use text in the most throwaway format. Tweets, Snapchat, text, they all just get fired off faster than they can even think. And so the written word has very little meaning for young people. That was our kind of the seed of the idea. And then we stopped and we thought, okay, so what is it about UK culture right now that's really powerful, that really makes a massive difference? And luckily, 3 weeks ago, I think, roughly, we had the UK general election. And the Labour Party and Jeremy Corbyn absolutely belayed everybody's predictions about what was going to happen by weaponising the youth. Young people in the UK voted in the biggest numbers for 20 years. And a lot of that was down to the fact that Jeremy Corbyn, against all odds, weaponised young people through their own culture by basically gaining huge advocacy from grime artists. UK hip hop is this whole kind of musical revolution that's happening in the UK, which is basically giving young people a voice.
Yeah.
And so we took that idea and we said, okay, the most powerful thing is voice. It's not text, it's voice. And so how do we get young people to basically care and lend their voice to a new cause? Good news is, for the general election, they've shown and been shown that their voice actually makes a difference. And so we thought we strike while the iron's hot right now.
Okay.
And give young people a voice through grime music.
Okay. So you also partnered with a couple of other big organisations, or proposed to partner with them. Talk to me a bit about that, and obviously through grime music, how did you reach that audience?
Yeah, so if that's the beginning of our idea, how we brought it to life was through two key partners. One is Beats, and the other is the grime artist Stormzy, who currently has a #1 album, his debut album out, and it's basically the voice of young people. The reason why we selected those two partners is, one, Stormzy already is an ambassador for Beats, so there's a natural connection there. And the other one is, if we're going to use voice in a media sense, we need a company that, owned by Apple, is trying to validate voice and voice-to-text recognition. So if you think about it, Amazon have Alexa, Google have Assistant, and everybody's talking about them. Apple with Siri is losing that race to win voice technology. And we thought that the simplest thing to do is to use Stormzy through Beats as our ambassador to get young people to care, and then use Apple and their credentials in voice technology as the ultimate soapbox and a platform to validate their proposition versus Amazon and Google, effectively. So that's where our idea came from. And then how we actually brought it to life was that we proposed Stormzy writing a letter in the form of a grime track, the last chorus of which he needs every young person in the UK to record and a message for Amnesty. When they record that message, so the last chorus of the song, and a personal message, that message is, through voice-to-text technology, translated to a physical letter and sent to that prisoner. That's the technology media part. The wow factor, and the thing that really makes everyone stand up and go, oh my God, is the fact that when we release the song, the last chorus is sung by 200,000 plus young people in solidarity for Amnesty. That's the idea. And it was called, what was it? Rhyme for Rights.
Okay.
And for number one, aren't we? So, yeah, I guess to wrap it up, we were trying, we had the technology element, which meant that we were going to write letters. So we kind of we actually gave them what they wanted.
Yep.
But the thing I think that blew their minds a bit was we said we would reach the number one in the charts, or we would attempt to reach number one in the UK charts. And in the UK at Christmas time, that's huge. And it's usually a song that's in partnership with a charity. And, you know, based on last year, that song received 500 million audio streams. So there haven't been many times where I've got to say a billion in a meeting. It was only half. It was only half, but it was still fun.
Yep.
And I think they were like, "Wow, okay, like this is huge."
The thing is, you know, a lot of these things, these competitions, what people present in the Palais, what wins Grand Prix, are often very theoretical.
Yep.
And sure, you know, this idea hasn't happened, but it's something that genuinely could and should happen.
Yep.
And I think that's probably what gave us the edge.
So when you, obviously, you know, you talk to your friends and you sort of bounce the ideas around, like what did your friends say about the ideas, and did you sort of gain anything from your friends that changed the way you were thinking?
So Rob and I have a few kind of like golden rules, let's say. As you know, Rob's entered 6 times. This is our 2nd year of entering the Young Lions together as a team. And one of our golden rules is send the idea to my parents and get their feedback. And we certainly did it this time around. And it's good because this can is a bubble, and our industry is a bubble where people just talk about media and advertising like other people get it. But this is supposed to be an idea that everyone gets involved in. And so you need to run it past people who don't live in this ridiculous bubble that we work in. And so the golden rule is, if my mum and dad, who are, you know, middle-class English people living in Sussex, to get it, then it works.
Great.
Even if it's grime.
Even if it's grime.
To be honest, they haven't got a clue what grime music's about.
They probably don't know what Apple is. No, I'm just kidding. So obviously a lot of this is about engagement and engagement with the youth, which is really important. From your perspective, having been in the industry for 6 years, where do you think the industry needs to go, particularly in the UK, to really engage better with millennials and Gen Ys?
Yeah, so I think we're in a dangerous time, because I think data is a double-edged sword. It creates amazing opportunity, but it also is providing metrics and statistics that you can track, but aren't adding value to the conversation. You know, the conversation around ROI planning, for example, and we're seeing this on some of the clients we work on, I think is not, in isolation, it's bad. And it's a problem, because if, you know, ultimately, if you plan everything to ROI, you can probably make a case for not doing any advertising. And then you go, well, okay, what are we doing here? And, you know, the clients see their ROI figure go up, but their market share plummets. All of their brand metrics plummet. But, well, they don't tie directly to sales, so they're not important. Well, you go, well, actually, they are. And I think that's maybe the thing that worries me a little bit. And I think, you know, the conversation with clients needs to be about how we work those metrics in, but not excluding all of the thinking and all the brilliance that advertising is and has been for such a long period of time. I think that's maybe something that I'm conscious of and paying attention to.
Okay, great. So changing a little bit of direction there, then you've both been here 6 years. So what is it about Media Brands and the brand you work in and the international team that you really like and keeps you here?
I think I come from a kind of a very privileged position of having worked for Media Brands, Initiative, through the course of my career. And I think what I love about this company, without to be honest, without having had the perspective of worked elsewhere, is that it's the size of company where someone like me or Rob, who have not been in the industry that long. I mean, 6 years feels like a long time for us, but you know, as you've said, you've been working for 30 years.
Yeah, don't remind me.
is that we get FaceTime and our ideas and work get put in front of people who really matter. It makes a difference. So when there's a big pitch for a global client with millions of dollars of revenue for the company, Rob and I get put forward to work on it, and that's amazing. I don't think you'd get that if you worked at Group M or somewhere like that, because there's just the sheer volume of people makes your voice less valid. Whereas I feel required. That's what's great about this company.
Great.
And if I would just say, I just want to say quickly, like a thank you. I know it's a bit lame, but there's like 3 people who've been so important to how we've learned.
Yep.
And that's like Matt, you are Steph and Tom. Like, can't thank those guys enough, to be honest. Without those guys, there's absolutely no way we'd be sitting here. They've taught us everything they know. They sit with us at midnight writing slides when they really shouldn't be. And so I just want to say, like,
hats off to them.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, you beat me to it, because I was going to ask you what sort of support you got from your leaders and how instrumental they were in sort of helping you create and cultivate the idea, but also give you time to actually do it, because it sounds like it was a lot of work.
Yeah. So I mean, to be frank, the help you get and the things you learn happen way before the 24 hours. If you're relying on anybody to give you a hand, you haven't got a chance. We learned. We've done this a lot. We practice this. We know how the format works. How to approach 24 hours. We actually keep it between us. We do. We come up with the idea. We think that it's right. We run it past the Willie P's parents, who are the best filter we've got. And then we did run.
They should come to Cannes.
They should be here. I mean, they should be the judges, to be honest, because they've picked 3 winners so far. So we do run it past the guys. But mostly just as just say yes or no. Do you think this is going to work? Or are you like, guys, there's something seriously wrong and you need to just think about this? And it's more about the questions the client asks, actually, which is like, where we have 5 minutes to present and 5 minutes of questions. And actually, you really need to prepare for those 5 minutes of questions. And when you've got a few people who know what they're doing and they can preempt some of those, and when you go into the room with a prepared answer, it's like having an extra few minutes of presentation. So that's, to be honest, where we get the support and the help. And of course, the guys are brilliant at giving us the time to do this. There's, the guys, in our team are traveling all over Europe at the moment, working on massive new business. They're not getting any sleep. We're not, but for different reasons. So, we're putting more pressure on them, and, it's brilliant, to be honest, that they let us do this, and there's no hesitation. We're getting texts last night, all through the night. They're more excited than we are, I think. So there's a real sense of family, community in the team. It's just a great place to be.
Great.
Yeah. I think the thing I would just add to that is, as Rob said, the input we get from, as you said, the support from people senior in the company, within our team, within our department, within our market. And globally, it isn't from during the 24 hours, because as Rob said, you don't have if you question the idea, then the idea doesn't work. But what we do have is a sort of set of tools that we've been given by them, which is the process, the way of working, it's as simple as like the format of the slides. Everything is done to a certain process that we feel is a formula for success, and we've been given that by them. So they don't necessarily give us as much help during the 24 hours, but that's not because we don't want it. It's because we've already got it from them.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yep, that's great. So I'm going to wind up here in a minute, because this is, I know that you guys just want to go and have a glass of rosé. I know I do. Yeah. On one of those yachts, hopefully.
It's about time, isn't it?
So last couple of questions for you is, if you had the opportunity to talk to people, kids that were coming into the industry today, what would you say to them about why they would want to join a media company, or more importantly, sort of go into strategy?
Well, one big plus is this, right?
Right.
But actually, I think this is a nice plus. The reality is that I think when people hear the word media, I think they switch off a bit because, you know, creative agencies are where sort of all the glitz and glamour apparently is. But actually, when you dig into the kind of work we do, the kind of responses, and the kind of things that get created from what is effectively just us thinking, is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And yeah, I mean, you get to work with all the big companies that everybody talks about every day. Look, behind you is Spotify. I can see the logo right now. You know, beyond that is Shazam. I can see the logo right now. Everyone knows these things. And the biggest plus is, you know, as a Brit, you sit around a pub table with your mates. If anybody else talks about their job, everyone switches off.
Yep.
When I talk about my job, everybody opens their ears and listens because it's interesting.
Yeah. Great.
So one of the things I would say to echo Will is we've sat on our little hotel roof with all of the other UK winners from every other category, and actually we all spent an evening talking about how we got here and the ideas, and we told them our idea, and I think they were like blown away. They didn't they didn't realize what media can be, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, and actually if people knew, then it's a great place to be, especially in strategy. I think, you know, it's hard to get here. You know, Will and I have worked, you know, we got lucky, there's no doubt about it, but we've worked hard to get here, been single-minded about it, and, you know, you work with the most fascinating, smart people on the coolest briefs across the world. It's crazy that the stuff we get to do.
Yeah. Well, you know, I would say you're pretty smart because you're sitting here, so I think, you know, luck's got a little bit to do with it, but, you know, smart. So the last two questions I'm going to ask you is, if you could change one thing, or if there's one thing in the future that you think is going to change over the next 12 months in media, what do you think it's going to be?
Jesus.
Okay, I've got.
That's putting you on the spot, but, you know.
So, you know, every Cannes competition, we've not been before, but you get all the emails and the video wrap-ups and the articles written. There's always a couple of, like, phrases, right? So, like, you know, we've had VR, AR, machine learning, all of that nonsense. But the thing that genuinely, and it's the heart of our idea, to be honest, is that now that technology's got so advanced, I think voice. I know it's one of many things people talk about here, but voice is the next way of interacting with brands. So I think, you know, people aren't going to type to search anymore. They're going to just say it out loud. And I think there's a lot of stuff like, I don't really believe that AR and VR is going to kick off as much as people say, because it puts you in another world. Whereas something like voice is so simple and so easy to do that if brands get it right, then they're going to unlock a whole new world of possibility. I know that sounds awful. I hate that. Anyway, that's me.
True. So voice, okay. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm totally inspired. These are two young guys that are the future and the leaders of our business. So, you know, as I sort of start heading out the door, because I've probably got 10 years left in me, these guys are going to be the guys running the business. So I'm going to do a quick 30-second quick round question, and I'm going to give you two options, and you're going to have to pick one. So, and you both need to answer. So, Apple or PC?
PC.
Apple.
London or New York?
London.
London.
Adele or Phoenix?
Phoenix.
I haven't got a clue who Phoenix is. Adele. I listen to weird music.
Rugby or soccer?
Rugby, come on.
Rugby, 100%.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Summer.
Aston Martin or Jaguar?
Jag.
Oof, that's so tough. Jag.
Wow, I didn't expect that. Trump or May?
Let's go with Trump. At least he's a wild card.
I mean, it's a stupid question. May. Trump, doesn't matter, does it? They're all both awful.
25, being 25 or being 18?
I mean, there's not a huge difference between me at 18 and 25, so let's stick with 25.
Okay.
Yeah, 25.
All right. So thanks, everyone, for being here. And congratulations again, guys. Go and enjoy yourself this afternoon. I know you're going to be having some celebrations. Stay tuned for more from Cannes.